I quit. You'll take care of us while I figure things out. I stared at my phone screen, and a chill ran through me. Not from surprise, no. From the quiet recognition that I'd known this message was coming. Or something like it. Because that's how it always was. Annie quit regularly, every 3 or 4 months. Either the boss was a jerk, the team was toxic, or it just wasn't her thing. And every time, I caught myself thinking the same thing. She never asked. She simply informed me. As if I weren't a person, but a branch of family social services, free and open 24 hours a day. I slowly set the phone down on the table and looked out the window. Chicago. A gray February evening. 9th floor of a rented 2-bedroom apartment on the outskirts of the city. In the corner, a pile of unpaid bills, half of which weren't even mine. Mom's kitchen renovation loan. Annie's phone installment plan. Dad's small overdue utility bill he'd forgotten to pay 6 months ago. But before we continue, tell us in the comments where you're watching from. It's always great to see how far our stories reach. I'm 32, a financial analyst. I make decent money. But I haven't renovated my own kitchen in 6 years, because the money always goes there. To them. Into that bottomless pit called family. The phone vibrated again. Mom. Maria, sweetheart, Annie says she needs time to find something worthy. You understand, she can't just take any job, right? You'll help her, won't you? You've always been the responsible one. Responsible. That word had followed me since childhood. Maria's responsible, she'll understand. Maria will handle it. Maria won't let us down. And Annie, she's creative, she needs freedom. Freedom, at my expense. I reached for the keyboard to reply. My fingers hovered above the screen. What was I about to type? Of course, Mom, I'll help. Like always? I thought of Andrew, my ex-husband, the one who left 3 years ago. Our last conversation was short but searing. I married you, not your family, he'd said, packing his things. You made your choice, and it wasn't me. I'd screamed that he didn't understand, that they were my family, my blood. He just looked at me with tired eyes and said quietly, Maria, you don't have a family. You have people who use you. And you know it. Back then, I didn't believe him. I called him cruel, selfish. But now, looking at Annie's message, I realized, he'd been right. The phone buzzed again. This time it was a bank notification. Loan payment overdue. Outstanding balance, $1,000. I frowned. What loan? I hadn't taken any. I opened the banking app, and my heart sank. The loan had been opened 2 months ago. Co-borrower, me. Primary borrower, Mrs. Irene Pierce. My mother. My hands trembled. I called her immediately. Long beeps, then her tired voice. Hello, Maria. Mom, what's this $1,000 loan? Did you open it under my name? A pause. Then, as if nothing happened. Oh, yes, I needed it urgently. You don't mind, do you? You always help, and this way it's easier. I don't have to ask every time. Easier? Mom, it's a loan. Under my name. You didn't even tell me. Oh, Maria, don't be like that. I'm your mother. We're family. Families don't need to ask permission. Something inside me clicked. Quietly, almost imperceptibly, but I heard it. Mom, I'll call you back. I set the phone down and sat still for several minutes, staring at nothing. Then I opened my email. Amidst spam and work messages, there it was, a letter from Ms. Elizabeth Carter, my boss. It had arrived yesterday. I'd skimmed it then and saved it for later. Subject, transfer offer, Boston. I opened it again and read slowly. Maria, our Boston branch is looking for a head of financial analysis. I immediately thought of you. The salary is 30% higher, full benefits, relocation covered. Think about it. You're excellent at your job. But honestly, I'm worried you'll burn out if you don't learn to say no. I reread that last line 3 times. If you don't learn to say no. I looked at my phone, Annie's message, Mom's, the loan notification I hadn't taken. And I realized, if not now, then never. My fingers moved on their own. Annie, this isn't my responsibility. Send. I stared at those 5 words for a long time. Then I wrote to Elizabeth. I accept. When can I start? And right after that, before I could change my mind, I texted Mom. Mom, I'm closing all joint accounts and cards. The loan you took is your responsibility. I won't be paying for it anymore. 3 messages. 20 seconds. 32 years of life, and here it was, the turning point. The phone exploded with calls almost instantly. Mom. I declined. Annie. Declined. Mom again. I turned off the sound, placed the phone face down, and for the first time in years, I felt something strange. Relief. And also a wild, almost primal fear. Because I had just done the one thing I'd feared my whole life. I said no. And now, there was no going back. The phone stayed silent for exactly 20 minutes. The eerie calm before the storm. I sat on the couch, hugging my knees, staring at the screen like it was a ticking bomb. Then, it went off. Dad called first. His voice was quiet, guilty. Maria, what's going on? Your mother's upset. Annie's crying. What have you done? Of course. I was the one who'd done something wrong. Dad, I just said I won't be paying other people's debts anymore. That's normal. But we're family. Family doesn't take out loans under someone else's name without asking, Dad. Pause. Then a deep sigh, like he was carrying the weight of the world. You're right. But, you know your mother. Please, just talk to her, okay? Calm her down. Calm her down. Like always. I have to calm, I have to understand, I have to forgive. Dad, I'm moving to Boston. In 2 weeks. Silence. Long. Then. For good. Completely? Yes. He was quiet for about 10 seconds. I could hear his breathing. And then he said so softly I barely caught it. Good for you. What? But he had already hung up. I hadn't even lowered the phone when it rang again. Mom. I took a deep breath and answered. Maria. Her voice was hysterical, breaking. How dare you talk to me like that? Mom, I just said. You said you're abandoning us. Abandoning your own mother. After everything I've done for you. I clenched my teeth. There it was again, the same song, after everything I've done for you. Mom, you took out a loan in my name. Without asking. That's illegal. Illegal, she screamed. I'm your mother. I gave birth to you, raised you, fed you. And you're talking to me about laws? I'm not arguing. But I can't live like this anymore. Live like this? And what about us? You only think about yourself. Annie has no job, I need medicine, your father's paycheck is tiny. It's always the medicine. Even though I knew perfectly well she hadn't seen a doctor in 5 years, and she felt just fine until she needed to guilt me. Mom, I have to go. I'm at work. Don't you dare hang up. Do you realize what you're doing? You're destroying this family. I closed my eyes. No, Mom. I'm saving myself. And I hung up. My hands were shaking. My heart pounded like I'd just run a marathon. I pressed my palms to my face, they were ice cold. The phone lit up again. Annie. I stared at her name for a long time before declining. A minute later, a message popped up. Seriously? You really expect me to believe your move? Another one of your guilt trips, so we'll feel sorry for you. Fine. Play the victim. In a week, everything will go back to normal. Like always. I read it 3 times. In a week, everything will go back to normal. Like always. And suddenly, it hit me. She was right. Completely right. Because that's how it had always been. I'd get angry, upset, threaten to leave, but then I'd come back. Give in. Pay. Fix. Rescue. But not this time. The next day, I went to the bank. Closed all joint accounts. Unlinked my cards from their phones. Removed myself as co-borrower on old loans. The lawyer said the new one would be harder, but possible through court. That evening, a message came from an unknown number. Maria, this is Kate, Annie's friend. Can we talk? It's important. I knew Kate, we'd met a few times at Annie's birthday parties. Quiet, unassuming girl. I replied. Of course. Call me. She called 5 minutes later. Her voice was nervous, guilty. Maria, I'm sorry to interfere, but I can't stay silent anymore. Do you know what Annie's really doing? I stiffened. What do you mean? She's seeing a married man. Paul Johnson. He's 50, married, has 2 kids. He's supporting her, pays her rent, gives her money. They've been together for over a year. And she's not looking for work. At all. My breath caught. What? Maria, she's lying, to everyone. To you, your parents. All those quitting job stories, it's all an act to squeeze money out of you. I kept quiet because she's my friend, but this is too much. She even bragged about how clever she was. Said you're the perfect ATM. Perfect ATM. The world blurred before my eyes. Thank you, I whispered. Thank you for telling me. I'm sorry, Kate said softly. I really am. I hung up and sank to the floor. Just sat, staring at the wall. A year and a half. A year and a half of lies to my face. Asking for money for job hunting, courses, interviews. All while living with her married lover in a rented apartment and laughing at me. Perfect ATM. Tears came on their own, not from self-pity, but from fury. From humiliation. From the realization of how blind and naive I'd been for years. The phone vibrated again. Dad. A message. Maria, can I stop by? Just me. Don't tell your mom. I wiped my face and texted back. Come. He arrived an hour later. Stood in the doorway, fidgeting like a schoolboy waiting outside the principal's office. In his hands, a bag of apples. He always brought apples. As if that could make things right. Come in, Dad. He stepped inside, took off his shoes, looked around, as if seeing my apartment for the first time, though he'd been here 100 times. Tea? No, I won't stay long. We sat at the table. He twisted his hat in his hands and stayed silent. I waited. Finally, he sighed. Maria, I don't know how to say this right. I've been a bad father. I blinked. I hadn't expected that. I stayed silent. Always silent. When your mother pressured you, when Annie demanded things, when you were struggling. I saw it all. I understood. But I stayed quiet. His voice trembled. Why? I didn't even realize I'd asked aloud. He looked at me, his eyes were red. Because I'm a coward, Maria. I was afraid of conflict, afraid your mother would leave, afraid of being alone. Afraid of everything. And I sacrificed you. My own daughter. I swallowed the lump in my throat. When you said yesterday that you were leaving, you know what I felt? Relief. I was happy. Because you're finally saving yourself. And me. I'm staying here, in this swamp. He reached into his pocket and took out an envelope. There's $500 in here. It's all I have. Take it, for your move. I looked at the envelope, then at him. Dad, you need the money more than I do. I don't need anything, Maria. My time's almost up. But you can still live. Really live. Please, get out. And don't look back. Tears burned my eyes. Why are you saying this? I'm just existing now, Maria. Existing with a woman who turned our family into hell. With a daughter who became her copy. I missed my chance, years ago, when I should have said, enough. But I didn't. And now it's too late. He handed me the envelope. I took it. My hands were shaking. I'm proud of you, sweetheart. You're stronger than I ever was, much stronger. We sat in silence for about 5 minutes. Then he stood up. I should go. Your mother thinks I just went out to the store. I walked him to the door. He hugged me, tight, the way he hadn't in at least 10 years. Then he let go, put on his hat, and left without looking back. I closed the door and leaned against it. The envelope in my hands. $500, the last of my father's money. His small attempt to fix what he hadn't been able to for 32 years. It was both heartbreaking and somehow, hopeful. Because at least one of them finally understood. The next day at work, something happened I didn't expect. Amy, my colleague and friend of 5 years, suddenly started avoiding me. I noticed it right away. She wouldn't meet my eyes, skipped lunch with me, gave one-word answers. By the end of the day, I caught her by the coffee machine. Amy, what's going on? She flinched, looking at me strangely. Nothing. Don't lie. You've been avoiding me. She pressed her lips together, then blurted out. Is it true you're abandoning your mother? I froze. What? Well, everyone's saying you're moving to Boston and leaving your sick mom behind. Is it true? I felt the cold spread inside me. Who's everyone? Well, I heard it from Julia. And she heard it from someone in accounting. I nodded slowly. And you believed it. She looked away. Maria, I just didn't expect that from you. Didn't expect what? Well, that kind of selfishness. It was so absurd that I actually laughed. Amy recoiled as if I'd hit her. Amy, my mother is perfectly healthy. She's just a master manipulator. I've been paying for her, for my sister, for my father, for years. My ex-husband left because he was tired of supporting my family. And now I simply decided to live for myself. That's selfish? Amy shrugged nervously. Well, a mother is still a mother. A mother who took out a loan in my name without asking? Who's been guilt-tripping me all my life? Amy, you've listened to me complain for 5 years. You understood, didn't you? I did. But it's one thing to complain and another to actually abandon your family. There it was. I nodded slowly. I see. And walked away. That evening, I realized Amy had envied me all along. All those years, when I complained about my family, she hadn't felt sympathy, she'd felt satisfaction. Because she had no family of her own. Her parents were gone, no siblings. And in her mind, I was just an ungrateful fool who didn't appreciate what she had. She wanted me to have a loving family, even if that family was devouring me. I blocked her everywhere. Not out of revenge. I just understood, she was never my friend. 3 days before the move, I was walking home from work and turned down a side street I'd never used before, trying to save a few minutes. Then I froze. Across the street, behind the panoramic windows of an upscale Italian restaurant, sat Annie. Wearing a dress that easily cost more than my monthly salary. Across from her, a man in his 50s. Expensive suit, gold watch. They were laughing. The waiter poured wine. Annie reached out her hand, the man kissed her fingers. I stood there, rooted to the ground. Then I took out my phone and snapped a photo. Just in case. And walked away. At home, I opened the photo and stared at it for a long time. At Annie, smiling, radiant. The same Annie who'd texted me just days ago, "I have nothing to eat. Can you send even $100? Then I typed a message. "Nice dress, Annie. Did Paul buy it for you? Send." And I turned off my phone. Let her figure out what to say. I didn't care anymore. I turned my phone on only in the morning, and instantly regretted it. 43 missed calls. 28 messages. All from Annie. The first, "How do you know about Paul?" The second, "Maria, answer me right now." The third, "Are you spying on me?" The fourth, "That's illegal." The fifth, "If you tell mom and dad, you'll regret it." The sixth, seventh, eighth, each one more hysterical than the last. And then, silence. Until one final message, sent at 3 in the morning. "Fine. You win. What do you want? Money? My silence? Name your price." I exhaled slowly and typed. "Annie, I don't want anything from you. Nothing at all. Live however you want. But don't ever ask me for money again. And don't lie to our parents in my name. I'm done playing this game. Send." A minute later, the phone exploded with a call. "Annie." I answered. "What the hell is wrong with you?" Her voice was shaking with rage. "You trying to humiliate me? Make me look like a slut? Annie, I just want you to stop lying." "Lying? So what if I am?" "Yes, I'm seeing Paul. Yes, he's married. But that's my life. My business." "I agree. Your life, your business. But then your money issues are yours too, not mine. Maria, you don't get it. Paul doesn't give me that much. I still need money to live." I let out a bitter laugh. "The restaurant where I saw you costs at least a few $100s a person. Don't pretend you're starving. That's his money. I don't have any of my own. Then go get a job." "A job?" She burst out laughing hysterically. "Are you serious? Working 12 hours a day for $2,000 a month? When I can live decently instead?" "Decently, as in using your sister and lying to your parents?" "Shut up," she screamed. "You've always played the saint. Responsible Maria, perfect Maria. And what did you achieve? You live in a rented apartment, alone, your husband ran off. And that's your idea of success?" I said nothing. My insides were boiling, but I stayed silent. "You know what?" Her voice turned cold, calculating. "Go ahead. Tell mom and dad about Paul. Let's see who they blame. Mom already thinks you're selfish. Now she'll call you a tattletale too. You ready for that? And that's when I realized she wasn't afraid. Not at all. Because she knew that even if I told the truth, Mom would still find a way to blame me. Why were you spying? Why are you humiliating your sister? What business is it of yours? I won't tell anyone, Annie, I said wearily. I don't care anymore. Live however you want. I'm out. Perfect. Then just keep sending money like before, and everything will stay quiet. I laughed. For the first time in years, it was genuine. No, Annie. I'm not sending you a single dollar. Ever again. You can tell Mom whatever you want, I don't care. Because in 2 days, I'm leaving. And you won't be able to reach me anymore. I hung up. I sat on the couch for about 10 minutes, staring into space. And then I felt it, a lightness. Like I'd taken off a backpack full of stones. She couldn't blackmail me anymore. That evening, Mom called. I knew Annie had told her everything. I was ready. Maria, her voice was icy. Annie said you were spying on her. Is that true? No. I just happened to see her at a restaurant. And decided to blackmail her? I closed my eyes. Mom, I'm not blackmailing anyone. I just said I won't give her money anymore. That's all. Do you realize what you're doing? You're pushing your sister onto the streets. What? If Paul leaves her, she'll have to sell herself to survive. Is that what you want? Something snapped inside me. Mom, Annie's a grown woman. She's 28. She can work, like normal people do. Normal people? Mom's voice rose. And you think you're normal? You're abandoning your family, spying on your sister, running off to another city. You're destroying this family, Maria. I took a deep breath. No, Mom. I'm not destroying anything. I'm just done being your cash cow. Cash cow? She gasped, outraged. I gave birth to you. I raised you. Went without food, without sleep. And you. Mom, stop. Please, just stop. I'm tired. I can't do this anymore. You can't? What about us? You'll manage. Without me. Annie can find a job. Or stay with Paul. Or find someone else. That's her choice. And you have Dad. You have your apartment. You'll survive. So you're abandoning us. I'm not abandoning. I'm just leaving. That's the same thing. No, Mom. It's not. She was silent. Then she said quietly, in a voice so cold it made me shiver. Fine. Go. But know this, if you leave now, there's no coming back. You'll be dead to me. My heart clenched. Mom. I mean it. I don't have an older daughter anymore. You're erased from my life. Forever. And she hung up. I sat there, the phone still in my hand, tears streaming down my cheeks. Not from self-pity. Not from fear. But because my own mother had just told me, you're dead to me. For daring to live my own life. 2 days before the move, I packed my things. I decided not to rent out my apartment, left it as is, just in case. Maybe I'd come back someday. Maybe not. I didn't know yet. When I opened the door, Annie was standing there. No makeup. Old jacket. Red, swollen eyes. Can I come in? I silently stepped aside. We sat in the kitchen. Annie kept turning her cup of tea in her hands, saying nothing. Paul left me, she finally said. I flinched. What? His wife found out. Someone told her. Not you, I know. Maybe someone saw us. Doesn't matter. He said he couldn't risk his family. He dumped me. Just like that. She sniffled. Maria, I don't know what to do. He paid the rent. He gave me money. I have nothing now. I looked at her, unsure what I felt. Pity? Anger? Maybe a little satisfaction. So you came here for money? She met my eyes. No. I came to apologize. I froze. I'm a parasite, Maria. I know that. Always knew. But it was convenient. You always saved me. Always bailed me out. I got used to it. And then I just started taking advantage of you, on purpose. Her voice trembled. Kate was right. I called you an ATM. I laughed about you with Paul. Said you were stupid. That you fell for everything. Her words cut like knives. And you know what's worst? I never thought about you. Not once. About what it's like for you. That you have your own life, your own feelings, your own problems. To me, you were just a function. An ATM. Like I said. She wiped her tears. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I just wanted you to know. I finally get it. Too late, but I get it. We sat in silence. Then I asked. What are you going to do? I don't know. Go back to Mom and Dad. Look for a real job. Try to live normally. I nodded. All right. Annie stood up. I'll go. I walked her to the door. She turned around. Maria. I'm glad you're leaving. Really. You deserve your own life. And she left. I closed the door and leaned against it. Annie's apology didn't erase the years of pain. It didn't bring back the money or the nerves. But something inside me finally eased. She understood. Late, but she did. The morning of my departure was gray and damp. I stood at Union Station with one suitcase and a backpack. My Amtrak Express to Boston was leaving in 20 minutes. My phone was silent. No calls to say goodbye. Not from Mom, not from Dad. Annie had texted during the night, have a safe trip. Short. Dry. But at least something. I stared at the departures board, thinking, this is it. The point of no return. One more minute, and I'll board the train. Leave. Start over. So why did it still feel so terrifying? Maria? I turned. Dad. Standing about 30 feet away, in his old jacket, looking lost, holding a small bouquet of cheap chrysanthemums. I couldn't hold it in, I ran to him and hugged him. Dad, how did you know? You told me when you were leaving. I remembered. Came to say goodbye. He handed me the flowers. These are for you. For your new life. I took them, tears blurring my vision. Does Mom know you're here? He shook his head. No. I told her I was going to the store. Maria. I just wanted to say. I'm proud of you. Very proud. You're brave. Much braver than I ever was. Dad, it's never too late. You can still. He smiled sadly. No, sweetheart. I'm 62. I'm tired. I'll just live out my days. But you, go. Don't come back to this swamp. Boarding for my train was announced. "I have to go," I whispered. He hugged me tight, kissed the top of my head. "Take care, Maria." I grabbed my suitcase and walked toward the platform. Halfway there, I turned around. Dad stood watching me, waving. I waved back. And kept walking. The train sped through the February fields. Villages, forests, gray skies flashed past the window. I sat by the window, watching it all, feeling a strange calm. For the first time in 32 years, I was going somewhere I wanted to go. Not where Mom wanted. Not Annie. Not the family. Me. When I arrived in Boston around noon, the company had arranged a one-bedroom apartment downtown, bright, high ceilings, a view of the Charles River. I dropped my things and went outside. Boston greeted me with a cold wind and a low, heavy sky. I walked along the riverfront, breathing in the salty air, thinking, here, I don't owe anyone anything. The thought felt intoxicating. The next day, I started work. The office was modern, spacious, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the river. My new boss, Mark Adams, greeted me, tall, calm, with a trace of irony in his eyes. "Maria?" "Mark. Nice to meet you. Ms. Carter told me a lot about you." "Don't worry, it was all good." He showed me my office, small but cozy. Desk, computer, window. "Make yourself at home. And we've got one rule here, no work calls after 6 p.m., unless the building's on fire. And even then, let it burn." I laughed. "Seriously?" "Absolutely. I don't believe in burnout. People should live, not just exist in the work-home-work cycle." It felt strange. Unfamiliar. In Chicago, I'd stay late at the office, take work home on weekends, answer emails during vacations, because I was afraid to say no. Afraid to seem not responsible enough. And here, someone was telling me, live. During my first week, I was settling in, getting to know my coworkers, diving into projects. The work was engaging, financial market analysis, strategy, forecasting. Exactly what I loved. Mark turned out to be a thoughtful manager. He never micromanaged but was always there when I needed guidance. One evening at the end of my second week, we were the last two in the conference room after a meeting. I was gathering papers when he suddenly asked, "Maria, can I ask you something personal?" I hesitated. "Sure. Are you happy?" I blinked. "What?" "Well, you moved to a new city. New job, new life. Are you happy, or just running from something?" I slowly set down the papers. "Why do you ask?" He shrugged. "I can see it. You're tense. All the time. Like you're waiting for something bad to happen." "I know that look." I stayed silent. "I had a wife once," he said quietly. "Toxic. Controlling. Manipulative. I lived in constant stress for 3 years. Thought it was normal. Thought love was supposed to hurt. After the divorce, it took me 6 months to learn how to breathe without fear." "You know what I mean?" I nodded. My throat tightened. "You escaped toxic people," he said gently. "And that's good. But now you have to learn how to live, for real. Not just survive." Tears stung my eyes. "I don't know how," I admitted. "You'll learn," he smiled. "Bit by bit. Just give yourself time." That evening, walking home, I kept thinking about his words. He was right. I had escaped, but the fear was still with me. I still jumped when my phone rang. Still felt guilty saying no. But maybe it would fade one day. At home, I turned on the kettle and sat by the window. Outside, the dark river, city lights, and snow just beginning to fall. I thought about Mom. About Annie. About Dad. About Chicago. And realized, I didn't miss them. For the first time in my life, I was alone. And it felt good. A month passed since the move. March in Boston was cold but sunny. Every morning I woke up and looked out the window, at the Charles River, the bridges, the sky that seemed higher here than back in Chicago. And every morning I caught myself thinking, I'm free. At work, I was settling in. The projects flowed one after another, my coworkers were kind, no office drama or backstabbing. And Mark became someone I could actually talk to. We often had lunch together at the cafe across the street. He'd tell stories about life, his daughter, his recovery after the divorce. I listened, realizing he'd been through something similar. One day over lunch, I asked, Mark, how did you know it was time to leave? Your wife, I mean. He stirred his coffee thoughtfully. You know, there was one moment. We fought, again. She was yelling, accusing me of everything under the sun. Then she said, you owe me. For everything. And I thought, owe you? For what? For loving you? For staying? And that's when I realized, love doesn't work like that. If someone keeps reminding you of what you owe them, it's not love. It's a transaction. I sat in silence, letting his words sink in. Maria, he continued softly, you've got that look, like you're always waiting to be hit. Relax. You're safe here. Habit, I confessed. 32 years living in brace for impact mode. Then it's time to unlearn it, he smiled. In mid-March, something unusual happened. I was in my office sorting reports when the door opened, and a teenage girl peeked in. Tall, slender, with long dark hair and sharp, curious eyes. She gave a shy smile. Sorry, I'm looking for my dad. Mark. Oh, you must be Paula, I said, standing up. He's in a meeting. Want me to call him? No, it's okay. She waved her hands quickly. I'll wait here. I'm homesick, so Dad couldn't leave me alone. Of course. Have a seat. She settled on the couch in the corner, took out a tablet. I went back to work but watched her out of the corner of my eye. Paula was reading something, occasionally taking notes. Serious. Focused. Half an hour later, I couldn't resist. What are you reading? She looked up. Scarlet Sails. For literature class. Have you read it? Long time ago. In school. I remember liking it. Paula nodded. I like it too. But Mom used to say it's a stupid fairy tale. That in real life, no one sails in to rescue you. You have to rely on yourself. I froze. And what do you think? Paula shrugged. I think Mom was toxic. And she said that because she never really loved anyone. Dad says love is when you can breathe freely next to someone. When you don't have to feel guilty just for existing. That last line hit me like a shock. You don't have to feel guilty just for existing. All my life, I had felt exactly that, guilty for being born, for not being like Annie, for wanting to live my own life. You're very wise, I said softly. Paula looked at me, surprised. Why? Because at 14, you already understand something many people never do, even at 30. She smiled shyly. Dad taught me. When I moved in with him, he said, Paula, you don't owe anything to anyone. Not even to me. Just live and be yourself. And you know, it felt freeing. I nodded, unable to speak. That night, I sat by the window for a long time, thinking about Paula's words. A 14-year-old girl had broken free from a toxic relationship. She had chosen herself. And me? It had taken me 32 years. My phone vibrated. Mom. I stared at the screen, wondering whether to answer. I did. Maria, her voice was tired, but calm this time. How are you? I'm fine, Mom. Working. I just called to tell you. Annie got a job. At a store. Sales clerk. I froze. Really? Yes. The pay's small, but it's something. She's different now. Quieter. More serious. I said nothing. Maria, I'm not asking you to come back. I just wanted you to know. We're managing. I'm glad, Mom. A pause. Are you happy there? The question caught me off guard. Yes, Mom. I am. She sighed. Good. Take care of yourself. And she hung up. I sat there, phone in hand, not sure what I felt. Relief? Sadness? Hope? The next day at work, something happened that changed everything. Mark came into my office after lunch, his expression serious. Maria, can we talk? Of course. He sat across from me. I saw you turn pale yesterday after that call. From your mom? I nodded. Maria, can I ask you something personal? Yes. Are you afraid of them, or of yourself? I frowned. What do you mean? Are you afraid they'll turn away from you, or afraid that if you say no, you'll feel like a bad person? I opened my mouth to answer, and realized he was right. I wasn't afraid of them. I was afraid of myself. Of my guilt. Of being the bad daughter, the selfish one, the traitor. Tears welled up. I'm scared they're right. That I really am bad. Mark leaned forward. Maria, listen carefully. People who truly love you don't make you feel guilty for living your life. They're happy when you're happy. The ones who guilt and manipulate you, they don't love you. They love what you do for them. I covered my face with my hands and cried, quietly, without sound. You know what Paula told me when she moved in with me? Mark said gently. She said, Dad, it's so easy to breathe around you. That's love, Maria. When it's easy to breathe. I wiped my tears. Thank you. Anytime. He stood up. You're stronger than you think. Just believe it. That evening, I decided to take a walk through downtown Boston. The air was crisp, the streets shimmered with light. I stopped by a small cafe, cozy, vintage furniture, soft jazz playing. I ordered a coffee and sat by the window. I was scrolling through my phone when I suddenly felt it. Someone was watching me. I looked up. And froze. At a table by the window, just a few feet away, sat Andrew. Our eyes met. He went pale. So did I. Time stopped. 3 years. 3 years since we had seen each other or spoken. And now, he was here. In this cafe. He slowly stood and walked toward me. I couldn't move. Maria? That voice. So painfully familiar. Andrew, I whispered. He stopped at my table. May I sit? I nodded. He sat across from me. We didn't speak. Just looked at each other. What are you doing here? I finally asked. Working. Business trip. 6 months. Project with a local firm. You? I moved here. A month ago. New job. I see. Silence. Heavy. Awkward. You look good, he said. Different. Calmer. I've changed. I can tell. The waitress brought my cappuccino. I wrapped my hands around the cup, realizing they were trembling. Maria, Andrew began, then fell silent. What? I've been thinking about you. A lot. I wanted to call, but I didn't know what to say. Or what you'd say. I looked at him, at the familiar lines of his face, at the eyes still carrying that quiet ache. Andrew, you were right, I said softly. Back then. 3 years ago. You were right about everything. He flinched. Maria. No, really. I didn't have a family. I had people who used me. And I knew it, but I didn't want to admit it. It was easier to blame you. Tears rolled down my cheeks. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. He reached across the table and covered my hand with his. Maria, I don't need your apology. I just needed you to understand. And now you do. That's what matters. I squeezed his hand. I'm not the same anymore. Really. I broke free. Moved away. Set boundaries. I know, he smiled. I can see it. In your eyes. They're alive again. We sat there, holding hands in silence. Around us, jazz played softly, people talked, the city hummed with life. Maria, can I call you sometime? He asked. Just to talk. As friends. No past, no bitterness. I looked at him, the man I had once loved, lost, and maybe, just maybe, still loved. Yes, I said quietly. Call me. He smiled, the same smile that had always taken my breath away. Thank you. We exchanged numbers, finished our coffee, and he walked me to the subway. We said goodbye, and I went home. Later, sitting on the bathroom floor, I cried. From happiness. From fear. From the feeling that life had just given me a second chance. But could I handle it? Andrew called the next evening. Maria, hi. It's Andrew. My heart dropped. Hi. Are you free tomorrow night? I froze mid-motion, holding my sweater. I think so. Why? I want to show you a place. If you don't mind. I don't. Great. Let's meet by the Harbor Square at 7. Okay. See you tomorrow, then. See you. I hung up and sat on the bed, my hands trembling. He'd invited me out. Just like that. A walk. Was it a date, or just two old friends catching up? At work, I couldn't focus. Mark noticed. During lunch, he came over. What's going on? I sighed. Remember I told you about my ex-husband? Andrew? Yeah. I ran into him. Yesterday. At a cafe. He's here in Boston, working on a project. Mark let out a low whistle. Well, that's quite a coincidence. We talked. And he asked me to go for a walk tonight. And you're scared? I nodded. Yes. Very. Of what? That I'll become the old me again. That everything will repeat. That I'll lose him all over. Mark gave me a thoughtful look. What if he falls in love with the real you this time? The one who's learned to say no? The one who chose herself? I said nothing. Maria, people don't come back by accident. If he asked you out, he wants to try again. Give him a chance. Give yourself a chance. That evening, I stood by Harbor Square, nervously fixing my hair. Jeans, sweater, jacket, nothing special. But my heart was racing anyway. Maria. I turned. Andrew was walking toward me, smiling. Dark coat, scarf. Handsome, as always. Hi, he said, stopping beside me. Ready for an adventure? What kind of adventure? You'll see. Come on. We walked along the Charles River, silent, but it was a peaceful silence, not awkward. He led me somewhere without saying where. After about 20 minutes, we reached an old building. Andrew unlocked the door, and we climbed 6 flights of stairs to the roof. I gasped. All of Boston spread out before us, the skyline, the bridges, the lights reflecting on the river. The sky was still glowing faintly blue, one of those long early summer evenings by the Charles. How did you find this place? I asked. A friend rents an apartment here. Let me come up. I found it recently and thought you'd appreciate it. We sat on the ledge, wrapped in a blanket Andrew had brought, and just looked at the city below. Tell me, he said softly. How did you end up here? What happened? So I told him. Everything. About Annie's message. About the loan Mom took in my name. About the decision to leave. The fights, the accusations, the threats. Annie's secret life. Dad's quiet support. The move to Boston. And how, for the first time in my life, I finally felt free. Andrew listened quietly, never interrupting. When I finished, he stayed silent for a long time. Then he said softly, Maria, I'm proud of you. You have no idea how much. I looked at him. Really? Absolutely. 3 years ago, I left because I couldn't watch you destroy yourself. But I never stopped loving you. Not for a single day. My heart began to race. I tried to forget. Dated other people. But none of them were you. And you know what? I was angry at myself. I kept thinking, maybe I should have stayed. Tried harder. Pulled you out of that mess. You couldn't have saved me, I said quietly. I had to do it myself. And you gave me that chance, when you walked away. You showed me the truth. It just took me 3 years to see it. He took my hand. Maria, tell me honestly. Is there room for me in your life? Not for obligations or family. Just for us. I looked at him, the familiar face, the eyes filled with hope. And I knew, yes. For the first time in my life, there was room. For myself. For him. For us. Yes, I whispered. There is. He pulled me close and kissed me, slowly, tenderly. And I kissed him back, feeling everything inside me melt. The years of pain, resentment, and fear, dissolving. We sat on that rooftop, holding each other, gazing at the lights of Boston, the city that had given us a second chance. Maria, he said softly, this time we do everything right. Slowly. Honestly. No rush. I agree. I don't want you to feel any pressure. We'll just spend time together. Get to know each other again. No past. Like we're meeting for the first time. I nodded. All right. We started seeing each other, not every day, but 2 or 3 times a week. Dinners at cafes, walks along the river, evenings at the theater. We talked for hours, about work, life, plans. Andrew was different now. Not the same man I remembered. Back then, he tried to smooth things over, to make peace with my family, to find compromises. Now he was steadier. More grounded. One day, while we were sitting in a cafe, my phone rang. Mom. I glanced at the screen and declined the call. Andrew noticed. Your mom? Yeah. She calls once a week. Sometimes crying, sometimes blaming me. I just don't answer anymore. He nodded. Good. You're doing the right thing. The phone rang again. I declined it once more. Then a message appeared. Maria, why aren't you answering? I'm sick. I'm in the hospital. I went pale and showed it to Andrew. He read it and said calmly. It's manipulation. How do you know? Because if she were really sick, your dad would call. Or Annie. Or the hospital. But she's writing herself. Which means she's fine. I thought for a moment. He was right. I typed a reply. Mom, if you're sick, call an ambulance. I'm in another city and can't help you. Sent. A minute later, her response popped up. So you don't care. Got it. I set the phone down and took a deep breath. Good job, Andrew said quietly. 2 more weeks passed. We'd been together a month now. I felt happy. Truly happy, for the first time in years. But the fear hadn't vanished. Every time Andrew called, a part of me panicked. What if he changed his mind? What if he got tired? What if I ruined it again? One evening, as we walked through the park, I couldn't hold it in anymore. Andrew, why did you come back? He stopped. What do you mean? Why did you give me another chance? After everything. After I chose them over you. He looked at me for a long moment, serious and calm. Because I don't love the Maria you were. I love the one you've become. The one who learned to choose herself. Tears stung my eyes. What if I mess it up again? He pulled me close. Maria, we've both changed. You've learned to set boundaries. I've learned to protect them. This time, we have a real chance. I leaned into him and felt it, yes. We did. That same evening, when I came home, the phone rang. An unfamiliar number. Hello? Maria? It's Mom. I froze. Mom calling from a strange number? What's wrong? Listen carefully. I know you're seeing Andrew. How did she find out? So? Maria, he's a good man. But you'll lose him again. Because that's who you are. You ruin everything you touch. My chest tightened. Mom, why are you calling me? To warn you. You left your family, and now you'll leave him too. Because you're selfish, Maria. You always have been. I took a deep breath. Mom, I'm not selfish. I just chose life. My life. And if that's selfish, then so be it. Fine, Mom's voice turned cold. Live your life. But when you end up alone, don't come to us. We won't take you back. I wasn't planning to. And I hung up. My hands were shaking, my heart pounding, but inside, there was peace. I had said what I needed to say, and it felt liberating. I called Andrew. Can I come over? Of course. What happened? I'll tell you in person. An hour later, I was sitting on his couch, telling him about the call from my mother. Andrew frowned as he listened. She called me too, he said. Yesterday. Cried, complained that you abandoned her. Tried to make me feel sorry for her. I froze. And what did you say? I said, Mrs. Pierce, I know who Maria is. And I know who you are. Please don't call me again. Then I blocked her number. I looked at him in disbelief. You defended me. I always will, he said, taking my hand. Maria, 3 years ago I tried to make peace between you and them, to find compromises. But now I understand, some people don't respect compromise. They see it as weakness. The only way is firm boundaries. I hugged him, feeling that for the first time in my life, someone was truly on my side. "Thank you," I whispered. "You don't have to thank me," he murmured, kissing the top of my head. "This time, we're building our life. Just ours." I nodded. And for the first time, I believed we could do it. 2 months passed. May in Boston was warm and full of light. The city shimmered, never fully sleeping, alive with its own kind of magic. Andrew and I saw each other almost every day, sometimes just walking after work, sometimes cooking dinner at his place or mine, sometimes sitting on that same rooftop, looking at the city below. I felt whole. For the first time in years. As if all the shattered pieces inside me had finally come together, and I had become myself again. Mark noticed the change. One day, as we had coffee during lunch, he smiled. "You're glowing." I laughed. "Really?" "Absolutely. You can spot a woman in love from a mile away." Then, in mid-May, something happened I didn't expect at all. I woke up one morning nauseous. I blamed dinner from the night before. But it didn't go away. The next day, same thing. And the third. I started counting, and froze. Late. A week. After work, I stopped by a pharmacy and bought a test. At home, I sat in the bathroom for a long time, holding the box in my hands, afraid to open it. Finally, I did. 2 lines. I sank to the floor, staring blankly ahead. Pregnant. A wave of fear hit me. What if I became like my mother? What if Andrew panicked and left? What if I couldn't handle it? The next day, Mark noticed my pale face and pulled me into a meeting room. "What's going on?" Tears streamed down my cheeks. "I'm pregnant." He exhaled slowly. "I see. Congratulations, or condolences." "I don't know." "What are you afraid of?" "Everything. That I'll turn into my mother. That Andrew will leave." Mark gave me a thoughtful look. "Maria, you're afraid of becoming your mother. But here's the difference, you think about it. You're aware. She never was. That's why you'll never become her." His words warmed me from the inside. "And Andrew, have you told him?" I shook my head. "I'm scared." "You shouldn't be. He deserves to know." That evening, I texted Andrew. "Can you come over? I need to tell you something." Half an hour later, he was at my door, with a bouquet of peonies. I took a deep breath. "I'm pregnant." Silence. He stared at me without blinking, then slowly stood and walked to the window. My stomach turned cold. "Andrew," his voice trembled, "are you sure?" "Yes. 2 tests." He turned, and I saw tears in his eyes. "Andrew?" He came closer, knelt in front of me, and took my hands. "Maria, did you really think I'd be scared?" I nodded, unable to speak. 3 years ago, I dreamed of this, of us, of a family, of children. But I couldn't. Because you weren't with me. You were with them." Tears rolled down his face. "Now you're here. You're free. We're free. And this is the best thing that could have ever happened." I looked at him in disbelief. "You're not scared?" "I am. But I'm happy. Maria, I'm so happy." He hugged me tightly, and I cried into his shoulder. "Wait," he said, standing up and reaching into his pocket. He pulled out a small box. My breath caught. He went down on one knee. "Maria, I bought this ring a month ago. I've carried it with me every day. I think the time has come. He opened the box. Inside was a simple gold ring with a small diamond. Marry me. This time, we're building our family. Just us. You, me, and our child. Tears blurred my eyes. Yes, I whispered. 1,000 times yes. He slipped the ring onto my finger and kissed me, long and tenderly. The next day, I dialed my mother's number. Long beeps. Then her voice. Hello? Mom, it's me. Maria. I'm calling to tell you. I'm getting married. To Andrew. And I'm expecting a baby. Silence. Long silence. Mom, are you there? I hear you. Congratulations. Her voice was cold. I hope you're not expecting us to come to your wedding. My heart tightened. No, Mom. I'm not. I just wanted you to know. I know. Goodbye. She hung up. A few days later, I received a message from Dad. Maria, Annie told me the news. Congratulations, my dear. I'm so happy for you. And so proud. I'm sorry I can't come to the wedding, but know that I'm with you. Always. I love you, sweetheart. I burst into tears. We got married at the end of June, a small ceremony, 20 guests, friends and coworkers. Mark and Paula came too. Andrew danced the first dance with me, whispering. I love you. So much. I love you too. The pregnancy went smoothly. Andrew was by my side through everything. Mom never called again. Annie texted a few times, short messages. Dad wrote often. One day, he sent $500 for the baby. I cried again. In late January, on a snowy evening, our daughter was born, tiny, beautiful, with huge gray eyes. We named her Sophie. The moment I held her in my arms, I knew I would never become my mother. Because when I looked at this little girl, I didn't feel obligation. I felt love. Pure, unconditional love. A year later, Andrew, Sophie, and I traveled to Chicago. I wanted her to see the city. Anne. I wanted my mother to see her. I called. Mom, I'm in Chicago. With my husband and daughter. Can we stop by? A long pause. Come, she said quietly. We arrived in the evening. Dad opened the door and hugged me. Maria, sweetheart. He was crying. Mom stood at the end of the hallway, looking at me, at Andrew, at the stroller. Come in, she said. We entered. Annie was there too. She hugged me awkwardly. Mom walked up to the stroller and looked inside. Sophie was asleep, chubby cheeks, long eyelashes. Mom froze, staring. Then suddenly she dropped to her knees beside the stroller and began to cry, quietly, soundlessly. Mom? I asked, frightened. She looked up, eyes red and wet. Maria. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. For everything. I stood still, speechless. I was a terrible mother. I used you. Controlled you. Manipulated you. I knew it, but I couldn't stop. I thought I had the right. I thought you owed me. Tears streamed down her face. And then you left. And I realized, I lost you. Forever. Because of me. Because of my selfishness. Annie was crying too, standing to the side. I'm not asking you to forgive me, Mom continued. I'm not asking you to come back. I just, thank you for coming. For letting me see her. My granddaughter. Her hand trembled as she touched the edge of the stroller. I knelt beside her. Mom, I can't forget. But I can try to start again. Slowly. With boundaries. But try. She gripped my hand. Really? Yes. For Sophie. So she can know her grandmother. If you're ready to be different. I am. I promise. I'll try. Annie stepped closer. Maria, I'm sorry too. I took advantage of you. Lied. Used you. But I've changed. I've been working for almost a year now. Living on my own. Paying my own way. I looked at her. I'm glad, Annie. Really. We spent the whole evening there, drinking tea, talking. Carefully, with pauses, but humanly. Dad held Sophie in his arms, crying from happiness. Mom looked at me and smiled, for the first time in years, a real smile. As we were leaving, I realized, we hadn't become what we used to be. We hadn't turned into a perfect family. But we had become honest. And that was already a lot. Now Sophie is 3 years old. We live in Boston. We work, we make plans. We visit my parents every couple of months. Mom has changed, she's softer now, more attentive. She doesn't pressure or manipulate anymore. She asks instead of demanding. Annie has built her own life. She's seeing a good man. We talk, not often, but warmly. Dad adores Sophie. He calls every week to ask how she's doing. I've learned something important. Real love doesn't drain you. It supports you. It gives you strength. And sometimes, the only way to save yourself is to say no. I said it. And I found freedom. And then, a family. A real one. If this story touched your heart and you'd like to help us keep sharing stories like this, click the super thanks button. It's the small heart with the $sign under the video. Every time you do, you help us create stories that inspire and remind people about the power of boundaries and true love. Thank you for staying with us until the end of this story. Write in the comments which moment moved you the most. Subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss new stories. Like this video if you believe everyone deserves the right to their own life and happiness. And before you go, watch the story that appears on screen. I'm sure it will touch your heart too.